like to join us for Children's Chapel today?
Is that today?
That's today.
I would love that.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad you're going to be our guest and worship with us today. Hi, boys and girls of St. John's. It's Miss Chrissy, and we have Mr. Mike here. Many of you know Mr. Mike from Music Academy. He is in charge of the music in the whole of St. John. So we are so lucky that he is here with us today. Now, Mr. Mike.
Yes.
Would you like to learn Jesus' greatest commandment with hand gestures?
Absolutely.
Yay! All right, kids, do you think we can teach Mr. Mike Jesus' greatest commandment? All right, so Mr. Mike, what you want to do is put your index finger up in the air. Jesus' greatest commandment.
Jesus' greatest commandment
Is to love God with all of our hearts.
To love God with all of our hearts.
All of our mind.
All of our mind.
And all of our soul.
And all of our soul.
And love our neighbors.
And love our neighbors.
As ourselves.
As ourselves.
Well done, Mr. Mike. Kids, well done teaching Mr. Mike Jesus' greatest commandment. All right, so today we are in the season of Easter. Now, what week are we in the season of Easter? Does anybody know at home? There are 8 weeks in the season of Easter, and we are in the 5th week. Easter starts after Lent and ends on the day of Pentecost. It's 50 days long, and during Easter, we celebrate that Christ is alive. Do you remember how we made our Easter butterflies? Let's cross our hands, arms over each other, and link our thumbs together and fly our butterfly wings and say, Christ is alive. During Easter, we celebrate that Christ is alive. All right, today's story comes from 1 Peter. Now, you at home, kids, if you think 1 Peter is in the Old Testament, on the count of 3, Mr. Mike, can you join in too?
Sure.
I'd like you to tug your right ear. If you think 1 Peter is in the New Testament, on the count of 3, I'd like you to touch your nose. All right, kids, ready at home? Mr. Mike, ready?
I'm ready.
All right. 1, 2, 3. You're correct, Mr. Mike. I bet a lot of you kids at home were going like this to hedge your bets. But if you touched your nose, you are correct. 1 Peter is in our New Testament, and here is our New Testament shelf. This third shelf in our Bible bookshelf. Remember, our Bible has 66 books. It's more like a library of books. And our New Testament has 27 books. And here, right here, is 1 Peter. And 1 Peter was written a long time ago to new Christians and new churches in a place called Asia Minor, where Turkey is today. And Peter wrote these new Christians because he needed to give them some encouragement, because they were not being treated very nicely by the people around them. And he gave them encouragement in this book, 1 Peter. Now, in this story, what we hear is about building. Who here likes to build? Do you like to build, Mr. Mike?
I love to build.
You do? Ah, do you like to build at home? Do you build with Legos, or do you build with blocks to make towers? Well, this is a story all about building. And it's about how Jesus, Peter says, Jesus is our cornerstone. Cornerstone. Have you heard that word before? Cornerstone? Mr. Mike, have you heard the word cornerstone before?
I have heard that word.
Yeah. A cornerstone is on the corner of a building, and it's like the foundational stone where two walls meet together, and it keeps the building together, right? And it's so important for the rest of the building. And Peter says Jesus is like that cornerstone in a building. He is our sure foundation that keeps us all together, binds us all together. And we know that as Christians, we are also living stones. So you're a living stone, and I'm a living stone, and you're a living stone at home. With Jesus as our cornerstone, we, as the living stones, can create a big, beautiful church that is welcoming and life-giving for all. But we always need to know that Jesus is the cornerstone of that, right? And that we need each other to build the church. So, Mr. Mike, do you think you might read the story to the kids at home?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
So this is from the second chapter of 1 Peter, verses 2 through 10. Far away from Jerusalem, people began to hear the good news about Jesus, and they believed. Across mountains and seas, from the largest cities to the smallest towns, messengers carried letters. New believers wanted to learn how to follow Jesus. One believer wanted to honor Jesus' disciple, Peter. He wrote a letter to encourage everyone to believe. Dear friends, God is calling you. Come out of the darkness of life without God and come into the light of God's love. Before you believed, you were alone, but now you are God's own people. You are part of God's family. God is at work in you. God is building a strong faith in you. Piece by piece, your faith is growing. God is filling you with love. God is teaching you how to care for each other. Because you believe, you know how important God is. A life without God is filled with rocks that make you stumble and fall. Without faith in God, you are alone. No one will help you get up. But you are God's beloved. God will help you when you fall. God will protect you. God will care for you. Milk helps babies grow. God's love helps our spirits grow. With God's love, we are kind. With God's love, we are fair. With God's love, we are family. Pass this letter to other new believers. Go and tell others about God's love.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. That was really nice. So we heard all about the letter that Peter sent to the new believers, encouraging them to grow in God's love. And that's what we do in Children's Chapel every Sunday. Now, for your offering this week, I'd like you to think about how you can build other people up, like building up a church, how you can encourage other people this week. So it could be you turn to a brother or sister and you thank them for playing with you. Or can you think of another way to build someone up, Mr. Mike?
You can call someone who might be lonely right now.
Call someone. That would be a really nice way to reach out to people right now. That would be really, really nice. So build people up this week as your offering. Now, Mr. Mike, I heard you playing a song when I came into Children's Chapel.
Yeah.
Could you teach it to me?
Yeah.
Could you teach it to the kids at home?
Sure.
Oh, wonderful.
So I'll sing a line and then you guys sing it back with Miss Chrissy. I'm gonna live so God can use me.
I'm gonna live so God can use me.
Anytime and anywhere.
Anytime and anywhere.
I'm gonna live
share our joys and concerns. So you can hit pause on your YouTube with your family and share a joy or a concern with your parents, and parents share with your kids, and then pray about it with each other, and then come back and join us for our closing prayer. All right. Mr. Mike, you want to, the Lord be with you. Would you like to pray?
I would love to.
Okay, the Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Jesus, you are the cornerstone of our lives and the cornerstone of our church. May we be your living stones, loving God. We are formed into a strong community by you. Thanks be to God. Amen. Mr. Mike, we always kind of end with the Lord's Prayer. Do you think you could lead the kids in the Lord's Prayer?
I would be happy to. Can I ask a favor first?
Sure, absolutely.
Could we get the kids to sing that song with us?
I would love that. Let's do it.
Let's see what they remember.
Okay.
Can I have permission to jazz it up a little bit?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
All right.
I'm gonna live so God can use me anytime, anyway. I'm gonna live so God can use me anytime and anyway. Aw, that was great. I really enjoyed that, Mr. Mike. I hope kids, I could almost hear you at home. All right. Do we want to end with the Lord's Prayer? All right.
Sure. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. God blesses the world. That means me, and that means all of you. Go and bless the world. Thank you, Mr. Mike, for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.